What's going on, guys? So today we are out here at Seguin RV in Seguin, Texas. Got my good friend Patrick with me. And we're gonna film a few videos out here, so they may skip around a little bit, but he's selling his truck, and I talked about that in a previous video. He's got a 2018 F150, under 50,000 miles, four-wheel drive. The key with this truck, though, is it's a special edition XLT package, so it's got a bunch of features that typically you might see on a Lariat package, aside from leather. Now, his truck also has the Max Tow package. Max Tow package gives him a couple things. First of all, he's got a pretty good towing capacity, but his payload capacity is really what I care about. And his payload capacity is 1,855 pounds, which is pretty impressive for a half ton. He also has the Road Armor active suspension that we installed on the back of his truck. So it's gonna help him in terms of sway control of the truck. It's gonna act almost like a sway bar, while at the same time helping level the truck and give it a smoother ride. Well, in the previous video, we told you we're gonna take a look at some RVs that fall within what are considered to be kind of the ideal weight range for that half-ton truck. And that's what we're doing today. So hang tight, we'll be right back. Okay, so in front of us we have several smaller RVs, and then we have some fifth wheels and some larger travel trailers. You have the Kodiak Cub, you have the Apex Nano, and then you have another Kodiak Cub and an Avenger over there. All of these right here, these five, are well within the capabilities of that half-ton truck. They're all well under 6,000 pounds. Actually, this one right here is like 3,700 pounds or something, almost 4,000, right? What's this one at? I think 3,800 maybe? Yeah, 3,800 pounds. This one over here is 5,500 pound, and this is all GVWR. These over here are also 5,500 pounds. So they're well under 6,000 pounds, and absolutely something that shouldn't be any problem towing with that half-ton truck. But some people are gonna say, how large can you get? So in previous videos, what I mentioned is the ideal number for a half-ton truck is typically 6,000 pounds for the most common truck configurations that you'll buy, which is gonna generally be a crew cab, V6 or V8 truck with a towing capacity around 8,500 to 9,000 pounds and a payload capacity between 1,400 and 1,600 pounds. So when you take those numbers into consideration, the tongue weight on something like this, even though it's under 4,000 pounds, you're probably going to have about 600 pounds worth of tongue weight transfer to the back of your truck. After you add people, cargo, the hitch, stuff in the back of the truck, all of that, you can tack on another 900 pounds very easily to that. So you're going to be pushing the 1,400, 1,500 pound mark, even with the small trailer. So it's not the truck's towing capacity that you're struggling with, it's the truck's payload capacity. In his truck, he has 1,800 pounds worth of payload capacity, which means he could go larger and still have the headway he needs in terms of tongue weight capacity to be able to support the weight. So we know that he can easily tow these trailers. That's not a problem. Let's take a look at a couple trailers that might be slightly too heavy, or at least on the heavier end, and also some trailers that might be closer to ideal. Okay, so this one right here is an Outback from Keystone, and it's a rear living room floor plan, but this specific one has a gross vehicle weight rating of 8,200 pounds and a dry weight of 7,080 pounds. This is definitely 3/4 ton, 1 ton territory. I wouldn't put this behind his truck, but if you look at it, you might say, well, it doesn't look too long, it doesn't look too crazy big, but in terms of weight, that's where you're gonna have a problem with this. Okay, so this hideout right here actually seems relatively short. It's probably about 32 feet long, but believe it or not, it's actually heavier than the other unit. This one has a 9,600 pound GVWR, which is definitely too heavy for his truck. But again, looks can be deceiving because it doesn't necessarily look like it's that long. So right here we have a Dutchman Kodiak SE. Now this specific one has a GVWR of 7,600 pounds. So whenever you look at the tongue weight on a unit like this, you're probably looking between 800 and 900 pounds worth of tongue weight. So depending on how much you load your trailer up, this might be doable. But this unit, you know, it's relatively long, but it's actually shorter than the previous one I showed you, and the previous one was 2,000 pounds heavier than this unit. So you want to keep in mind that just because the outside looks smaller or it looks lighter, it may not actually be a lighter unit. In the case of this unit, this one weighs significantly less. It's still heavier than what I would recommend, but at the max end of what his truck's capable of doing with the Max Tow package, with the assisted suspension in the back, all of that, even without that, this is doable, but you you'd have to be very careful how much you load it up. And when you look at a cargo capacity perspective, this is going to have 2,260 pounds worth of cargo capacity. So the dry weight on this unit is 5,300 pounds. If you only load up about 700 pounds worth of cargo in this, you're going to be at that 6,000 pound mark, and you should be in good shape as long as you set up your truck properly, you have the right truck with the right package, and you're running a very, very dialed in weight distribution setup. Let's take a look at another one. So now this is kind of an interesting one because you can see it's got 2 slide outs. This is a relatively long travel trailer. Let's walk around this way and you'll just see how long it is. Bunkhouse model, has a kitchen in the back. Very, very cool. We might walk through this one real quick. This one has the same 7,600 pound GVWR as the previous one we looked at. Now the challenge with something like this is even though Patrick's truck has the payload capacity to likely support this, if you pack it accordingly, you're going to run into a problem with the overall length acting like a wall. This again is a relatively tall but very long travel trailer. His truck is a relatively light truck. So it's not just about what your suspension can handle, it's not those components, it's how heavy your truck is. So his truck is very light. So this is going to act as a wall, and when the wind hits it, if this thing starts to wobble, it's going to be difficult for him to control it from the truck. So even if you find a trailer and you say, well, this is what the weight is, you also want to look at the profile of the trailer. How much wind is going to hit it, and how much of an impact is that going to have on your tow vehicle? A 3/4 ton truck, a 1 ton truck is a much, much heavier platform up front, and it's essentially you're walking the dog and the dog isn't walking you. Okay, so we found this Springdale SS from Keystone. This unit has a 6,500 pound GVWR, which means whenever you hook this up to the back of your vehicle, you're likely to transfer about 700, maybe 750 pounds to the back of your vehicle, depending on how you have it set up and how you have it loaded. But this is generally going to be at the very high end of what I would recommend for a truck like Patrick has, because once you load everything into it, you're probably going to be right at about 1,700 pounds worth of total payload capacity being taken away from his truck. Now, he does have some suspension enhancements on the back. The Roadmaster Active Suspension does not increase his payload capacity. It just gives him a little bit better load handling in terms of the payload capacity he has available, which means the truck won't roll as easy, it's not going to squat quite as much, but it almost affects the truck like a weight distribution hitch, but not doing what a weight distribution hitch does, right? A weight distribution hitch transfers weight from the back of the truck to the front of the truck and evens it out and then across to the trailer. Roadmaster Active Suspension is only going to help levelize the truck, so you're still going to want to have weight distribution. That's still going to be very important. But something this weight is what you're looking for. Something this length. This is only, I'm going to say, is about 25 to 26 feet long total. That's the length that you're going to want to stay at or under, mainly because of wind, because of the forces at play that are outside of your control, vehicles driving by you. All of that matters. Now, it may be difficult to find that specific RV and that specific weight that you're looking for. We had to walk all over this enormous RV dealership lot to find just a few that were in that weight class. But the problem you run into is if you rush in and you're like, well, I'm just going to settle for something that's either too large or I'm going to settle for something that's too small, you may find you're not getting a floor plan that you like, or you may find that you're getting something that's too large for your application. The reason why I don't say look at a 9,000 pound travel trailer that has, you know, a 6,000 pound dry weight and only loaded up maybe 500 or 600 pounds is because typically when you're talking about those heavier units, most of the time, it's going to be a much longer unit. And because of that, again, those are the forces that can impact a relatively light vehicle like a half-ton truck. So that's what it all comes down to. I try to direct you or point you in the direction of trailers that will be practical for the specific weight and size of truck that you have and the suspension that's built into it. Are there people that tow larger travel trailers? All the time. People do it all the time, and some people do it very confidently. But some people struggle, and you see a lot of YouTube videos where people go flipping down the road because they don't know how to control trailers that are even lighter in weight. Why do you want to risk yourself, your family, your confidence, and your trip just because you want to get something that's way too big? And most of the time, you know if you're getting something way too big for the type of truck you have. But you know, Patrick doesn't know a heck of a lot about RVs. He's helped me out in a lot of RV videos, but I wanted to kind of focus in on this one because since he's selling his truck, looking at getting a 3/4 ton or a 1 ton truck, you know, I just wanted to talk about the truck he currently has and some of the capabilities in terms of, you know, the recommended size of travel trailer you might want to tow behind it. Was it educational, my friend?
Very much so. I learned a lot.
I know you pretty much were a fly on the wall just kind of watching everything, but we talked a lot off camera about a lot of these different trailers as we walked around looking for them. And what was surprising to you, I think, was you'd go look at one trailer that you like, I know this trailer is going to be lighter. And it was super heavy.
It was way heavier. I mean, for the size, you wouldn't even think, but I don't even know how they even determine those weights.
It was crazy, wasn't it? We looked at a small trailer over there. It looks like it was going to be like 6,000 pounds. It was 9,200 pounds. Crazy. These are things you want to pay attention to. Anyways, Patrick, I really appreciate it, brother. We'll get you back on the channel again, especially if you sell your truck. Maybe we'll get the new buyer on the channel to see what they think about it.
Sounds good.
All right, guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up. We'll talk to you again very soon.